Welcome to The Long Ride Home. I'm your host, Alex Husner. This show is about honoring where we come from, pursuing what still calls us forward, and trusting the power of timing in both life and in sport. Through honest conversations with riders, trainers, and leaders in the American Saddlebred world, we'll explore the stories behind the horses and the people shaping the future of this industry. Come on this journey with me. Welcome back to The Long Ride Home. I'm your host, Alex Husner, and I'm joined today by Andrea Harry at Meraki Farm. Andrea, so good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming.
So this is a special episode because this is episode 1. I got to talk a little bit about my journey and why I've come back here, but you've been a huge part of that journey, and this farm has been a huge part of it. So really excited just to learn a little bit more and share your story with listeners about how you got into the saddlebred industry and the barn that you've built here. That's just, I mean, literally, look where we are. It's spectacular.
It's amazing. Amazing.
So maybe take us back. How did you get into riding?
So my grandfather bought a horse and he wanted my grandmother to learn to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And he signed her up for lessons. And it was at Mercer Springs Farm in Princeton, West Virginia. And I saw her lesson schedule on the refrigerator. And I was like,
Your grandma's
yeah,
lesson?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that's what going around
Wow.
Wednesday because I'm coming. And then she signed me up, and the rest is history. When I grew up at Mercer Springs Farm, started my career there, worked most of my career there, and then decided to hang my own banner. And
Wow.
here we are.
That's so cool. And there's so many times, I think, in our history that we could have crossed paths also. That, I mean, you're just a little bit younger than I am, but we went to the same horse shows, and I went and started riding at Smith Lillies for a little bit in college. And like, it's crazy. But
I'm sure we
it's-
crossed paths at some point.
yeah, I had to have.
Yeah.
Had to have. It's definitely a small world in this industry for sure. But so the decision to become a trainer, it's interesting because I loved horses growing up and I love them now, but I've never had that inclination that I would want to train them. So like what hit you that you wanted to do this for a profession?
So in college, I started working for Smith again. And I spent a summer working for Rich Campbell, and I loved working for them at Majestic Oaks. We had so much fun, but it was a lot of traveling, a lot of ponies, and I love the horses. So I went back to work for Smith, and I was riding a colt one day. I would go and just ride the things that no one else wanted to ride, or like the stuff that I was the right size for.
Yeah.
And Sandy looks at me one day and she's like, "You should do this professionally." And I was like, "That's all I needed to do.
Yeah.
Sign me up."
Out of confidence.
And that's really, I always wanted to do it. I just didn't have that extra boost of confidence, that I needed from someone that I admired.
Yeah.
And she said that, and I was like, "Yes, you're right. I should. I should." And I'm not good at anything else, so.
I find that very hard to believe. And you went to Virginia Tech.
Mhm.
So that also we could have possibly been around each other at the same time then too. I went to Radford, which is right up the road.
Yeah.
So another strange coincidence.
It's
there.
crazy the twist of her.
Yeah. So, okay, you decided you had the confidence now you were going to do this. Like, what does that even look like to start your own barn? Like, did you just hang your flag and then hope some riders would show up? Or
So I decided to open my business in May of 2019. And I told Smith, gave them a very large notice.
Yeah.
And we opened November 1st, 2019. And Smith sent a horse that he owned with me, and another customer at Smith's, Nancy and Ali Ailey, they sent a horse with me. And then they ended up sending another one just to like ease her into her retirement.
Mhm.
And I just called. I went out. I guess in the months leading up to leaving Smith's, I felt comfortable enough to go and tell people I'm leaving, please send me horses.
Yeah.
And, it was all with their blessing. So it felt right.
Yeah.
And people respected that. And they also knew that I had a good foundation, and I worked a lot of young horses for Smith. I worked a lot of amateur horses. So, it was, people saw that I was capable over the years, and they decided to throw me a bone, which was awesome. And some of them are still here.
Yeah, that's
So-
incredible. And I mean, that's one thing I've noticed just getting back into this too. It seems like there's actually a lot more women trainers than there
Mhm.
used to be, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. A bunch of women just getting out there with the guys.
Yeah. I mean, because back in the day, it was always a husband and wife, or, you know,
Mhm.
and there's still a lot of those barns out there too. But I think it's cool to see how many more women trainers there are. And at your barn, it's an all women trainer barn. So
Yeah, all girls.
Yeah.
All girl crew. It's great.
Yeah.
And honestly, like all of my customers are females too. I mean, they
Yeah.
come with their husbands, but like,
Yeah.
okay, all the customers that come and ride. I do work for some men that just own horses.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all of my riders are female.
Yeah.
Parker comes, but he doesn't have a horse here, so he doesn't count, right?
Yeah.
He can count later.
Well, that's awesome. So training the young horses, wanted to ask you more about that. I remember, I mean, this is only 3 months into this, but like when I first got into it, again, had asked people about you. And the one thing that kept coming up was that Andrew's really good with the younger horses. Like, I know you had the experience with Smith, but is there anything in particular about like why you feel that you're really good with the young horses?
I think it's probably my level of patience. The young horses are so spongy, and you can make them.
Yeah.
You can literally create something.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Like if you do it right, it's something that someone else is impressed by.
Right.
And they'd like to follow you because you're easy to follow, and they're impressed by the skill set that you put on your horses. So I just think like it is such a good representation of you as a horseman. And I just love the young horses because they transform. It's their transformation. It's so much fun to be a part of and to teach them something, and they can learn something new every single day. Yeah. And that keeps it exciting for me too.
Yeah.
Because I'm always teaching them something. And yeah, they all have bad days of horses, but it's just fun to mold them and then watch them transform, get their tail up, get them in a curve fit, watch their shoeing change and their athleticism changes and they get stronger. And it's so rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like it's like a blank canvas, to start with.
Yeah.
And, it's great to get a beautiful finished horse, but in a lot of cases, you can get a horse that now you've got to also correct things that maybe are not right. Yeah. And that can be a struggle, but no, that's really cool. And we're definitely getting to put that to the test now
Yes.
with Chapstick.
We love that.
Which has been really, I mean, that aspect of it, of buying a young, unfinished horse has been fascinating for me and for my husband, Michael, to just understand it, because that I had never done that before. The horses that I showed in New Hampshire, one was young, but she was finished. The other one was older and he was finished. And it was just about, okay, we got this horse. Now it's about horse and rider coming together and, really polishing the picture. It's going to be about that, but not yet. It's like he's got to get trained. I've got to get trained. And it really is such a process. And I think for Michael to see this, I think to see it from somebody that's not in this industry and his interpretation, it's even more fascinating because he's seeing like this really is, it takes so much just dedication to it. And, but also an eye to know, like, you believe in this horse and you believe in the young horses that you have. And like, you can see their potential before a rider or an owner probably can.
It takes experience and also knowing their family helps a lot.
Yeah.
And happen to know Chapstick's family pretty well. So I think there are certain parts of young horses you have to look at. You have to look at their attitude, where their neck comes out of their shoulders, where their legs, honestly, the angle of the slope of their shoulder. And, what does their back end do?
Yeah.
And, if it's all positives, great. But if, some of them aren't going to be the whole picture, but you can get them stronger, Can I live with this? Yes. Great. Let's do it. No. Next.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about Johnny Boy a little bit, because I think that's like such a great story. And Johnny Boy was is Chapstick's brother. But tell us a little bit about your journey with him.
So Johnny Boy was bred by Justin Callie and Tammy DeVore. And Justin and I used to be so tight. He would send me videos of this colt literally as a yearling, early 2-year-old year. And I was just like, he's so cool. Like, yay, good for you. What up? Like, and then Allison comes. It was 2020. We watched Louisville together here because I didn't go that year. COVID.
Yeah.
Just no reason.
Did they have it that year?
They did.
Okay.
They did.
Wow.
So after that, she texted me the next week and she was like, I kind of want to have a horse in North Carolina. Do you have room for me in your barn? And I was like, well, yeah, I do.
Of course.
So I knew that because he was at Daryl Cruises at the time, and I knew he was getting ready to go back to Kentucky to Tammy's. And so I just started harassing Tammy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to come see Chubbs. I want to come see Chubbs. She was like, well, I'm not home and he's not here yet. And I was like, okay, well, let me know when he gets there.
Yeah.
And so like the next week I was like, is he there? Don't forget about me.
Oh,
Don't let anyone else.
Yeah.
And so we went and saw him, and we looked at so many nice horses that day. And he was the first thing we looked at.
Yeah.
And it was not fair to any of the others.
Yeah, I bet.
He was a 2-year-old. He was still weak, but he gave me chills just going up and down the straightaway. And we sat down at dinner that evening. I was like, well, what do you think? She was like, I can't stop thinking about Chubbs. And I was like, me neither. Thank God we're on the same page. And then we called him.
Wow.
And Tammy cried. She was like, I didn't think you would buy him. And she said to me, Andrea, I hope he makes all of your dreams come true.
Oh,
and
so cool.
I'm getting chilled.
Yeah, I just got chills.
Because he did. He made all my dreams come true. And it was just like the most wonderful creature. And everyone's like, oh, Andrea worked with stallions. I had a really good stallion.
Yeah.
So never going to turn down an opportunity. But like, he was an anomaly. He was an angel.
That's so cool. And you guys went on to win at Louisville was that the following year, 2021?
Yeah, we actually, so we went to, like, there's a lot of hype around him. Because I posted pictures. Like, I'm annoying, I know that. Like, I'm all about social media.
Yeah.
So we went, our first show was Shenandoah. And I think we were 4-5. And he did all of his gates. He just wasn't really, he kind of just like cleaned up.
Yeah.
And he went in there and he bucked, and he kind of just was like, about this. And so I went to Bert Henniker after the class, and I was like, what can I do to help him? Because Bert owns his dad and knows the family. I think they had a home too. And so he was like, you know what, Andrea, I think you need to back off.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He said, he wears his bridle, he does his gates. He needs to like himself more.
Ooh, wow.
So go home and turn him out on Mondays. Let him play.
Wow.
And so that's what we did. And then we went to the little Asheville show before Blue Ridge and won. I don't think there's anyone in the class. There may have been one. Actually, there's one other horse in the class. And we won that. And Peter Cowart came up to me and he's like, what did you do different? What did you change? I was like, I just let him start playing.
Wow.
And I was like, really? Yeah. Yeah. And then we went on and on. Louisville unanimously. Crowd favorite. It was just like the coolest experience.
That's a really short time, really, to make that much progress, and to think just turning him out in the ring one day a week to just be a horse, wouldn't make that much of a difference.
I think he needed that first experience. I would much rather him have laid an egg on the first experience.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Because he figured it out. And I figured out how to warm him up because he was different. Like, he would clam up in the warm-up ring. You had to just be patient with him. Anytime anyone was helping me warm up, like, I would put on stretchers and he would just do this mystery gate.
The sixth gate.
People helping me, they'd be like, we're getting ready to open the gate. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then we just hit the ring and he did his thing, and it was, wow. He became a professional about it.
Wow. So, and for anybody watching or listening that doesn't know the horse, he was spectacular, but he was gray. I don't know if you could call him gray or white. Gray, which is fairly rare in saddlebreds. You don't see a ton of them, but yeah, he was just phenomenal. And watching the videos was so cool. And I remember when you had texted us, it was right after Christmas, and you said, I think I found a horse for you guys. He's at Northern Coast Stables, and it's, one of Bert and Miriam's horses. And we saw the video and we're like, wow, that's a really cute looking horse. But I remember you saying that he was full brother to Johnny Boy. And when you sent me the videos of Johnny Boy, in my mind, I'm like, I don't see the connection at all. But it was so funny because we went to dinner with Allison a couple weeks ago, and she showed me videos of Chubbs when he was the same age as Chapstick. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, I totally now see what you're saying.
Poured chocolate milk on top.
Yeah, literally.
He's up there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They are so similar. Just their shape, every curve. So similar.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a super fun journey. And one of the other cool things about your barn that I like that you told me when we were first kind of figuring this out was that the majority of your riders are returning amateurs too. So there are people like me that are, did this for a long time, but then didn't do it for a way longer time. And, I think that's a different kind of rider to teach than one who's been doing it the whole time or a child, and that's brings, different levels of complexity. I'm sure I have way more questions now than I did as a kid because I didn't know how to ask those questions. But I mean, what is your like kind of perspective on returning amateurs of like how you are getting me ready, like how you train somebody to get that confidence back, after not doing something for so long?
Well, I always like if someone comes to me, I've got several that I judge who they are as a rider now and in the past because I know what am I working with.
Right. Yeah.
What can we accomplish here?
Yeah.
And, if it's someone who's not super confident and they still want to buy a young horse, I buy like a young horse that's definitely going to turn into a kid's horse.
Yeah.
And you can always tell what their brain's like when they're young. And if it's someone who's like, I want to do this, like I want to be good, I want to buy something nice that I can really grow with. I want a challenge. We go out and get a chapstick.
Yeah.
I've got another lady who just came. She used to train Arabs and she came and rode and she's a really good rider. And I was like, okay. And so she bought a now 3-year-old also. Yeah. So I just look at, I want to see what kind of rider I have to work with and what their confidence is and what they want to accomplish more than anything. Like, what are we intending to do here?
Right.
What is the end game? And that's very important also.
Yeah. And I think, remembering back to our early conversations, I think we came into this thinking we probably want to get a younger horse, just knowing even from a budget standpoint, like we want to get something that is going to be, semi-affordable at least, but something that I do have the opportunity to grow with. And, I'm not in a rush to run back to the show ring. I don't even have a suit yet. I have a saddle, not a suit. But I think that's been the fun part of it, just being like, we want to do this right. We trust you. We trust having trained Chapstick and all the horses here. And knowing that even though we only come up every couple of weeks, that like, he's working every day and he's improving every day. And to see just the difference if you're watching and you see my hair is a mess, I rode today. I was on shape for sure and worked with many, many horses. But even just seeing the difference today versus a couple weeks ago, like it's so cool because when they're this like kind of malleable, you really notice those differences.
Exactly. And that's the coolest part about the young horses. It's like, you can do something as much as just putting a different bit in their mouth. And I had one filly that Sarah rode today that we started working her in a bar bit versus a broken bit. And her knee is like this much higher. She's just going. She likes it. It makes her more supple, which makes her whole body more supple and she can use it better.
Yeah. That's one thing that I forgot getting back into this is like just how many details there are and like how many little things can be tweaked both as a rider and the horse. I mean, like it really is just fascinating is the best word I can use to describe it because it's so many things that as a kid you don't think about, but now understanding like why is the horse doing something, why am I doing something, like how do we fix this or how do we make it better or or if it's perfect, like why is it perfect today? Like there's just so many questions and I probably drive you nuts with all like the other questions I asked and like the training devices and these things that I found on Instagram to try and teach me to keep my shoulders back again. I've definitely been targeted by all these ads, just a physical standpoint coming back. For me, it's been interesting of like, okay, obviously 26 years later, my body is very different than it was as a kid, but the mobility thing is a big thing. I mean, I'm sitting most of the time in my office and, how your literally your mobility, your muscles, your spine, like everything changes that like your body has to relearn that, but you also have to do the right exercises and the things that are going to support it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that can relate to that for other people coming back into this. That's the fun part, is figuring it out.
The best thing about being an adult, or for me to coach adults, you know what your body parts are doing. You know what's like I cannot do kids because they don't know their body as well as an adult. I think that's why I thrive with adults because like everyone's has a little more self-preservation, but they also know that their wrist is attached to their elbow. It's attached to their it's not like
Yeah.
Like I told my little boy to put his hands up one time, and this is what he did. Dropped their hands and put his hands in the air. I was like, okay, I need a new instructor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, not quite as literal, I guess. So this year, our plan with Chapstick, we're going to go to a couple of the shows, just kind of bring him and do some practice riding and see how he does. Again, I got to get a suit, but I think you're probably going to show him before me.
oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, good.
he's gonna be that.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what he does at the first horse show. That's gonna tell us like more about what our timeline's realistically gonna be.
Yeah.
Because I think he's gonna love it. But the first time you take a young horse off the farm, it's always exciting.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
It's gonna be very exciting.
Yeah. And he gets excited when, a leaf blows by him. So I think
Yeah.
he's definitely going to enjoy it. Looking at this show season, what are you most excited about? Or what, I guess just in general, what's like your favorite show to go to?
Probably Ocala. I
Yeah.
love Ocala. And I love Shenandoah. I love all the shows in Asheville. It's like they all have their own
Yeah.
special something.
Yeah. And Ocala was not around when I used to ride. And I've seen videos of it, and not just even for our sport, but I've seen it for hunt seat and other disciplines. And once I finally realized that's the same place, I thought, oh my gosh, like that, talk about world-class facility.
It's like
Yeah.
unlike anything else.
Yeah, that's going to be super cool. And so we have an idea we've been talking about.
Speaking of Ocala,
Speaking of Ocala,
I think we're gonna try to get Snoop Dogg there.
of course, like why not, right?
My opinion is I think we need to do something drastic to revamp our sport. It
Yeah.
needs some revival.
Mhm.
And why not Snoop Dogg?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did an incredible job. I get all the TikToks now. Now that I have a horse again, everybody's sending me when he was doing the Summer Olympics and
Mhm.
saying it's equestrian. The horse is crip walking. So,
And he's like an icon.
oh, for sure.
So if Snoop Dogg likes the American Saddlebred,
Oh my God, I can't get a better endorsement of like, modern age America.
exactly. So
Yeah.
if anyone wants to support our cause,
Yeah.
shoot me a message. because
Yeah.
we have a lot of money to raise
Yeah.
to get.
And we are legit looking into it. I mean, like, and I mean, you
I've
picked
had
this
2
off.
phone
So.
calls with Snoop Dogg's agent.
Yeah, like this is a legit thing.
They actually offered me a job the other day.
Are you serious?
I was like, I'm gonna raise the money. I'm on it. He was like, you sound like you're on it. Do you want a job?
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, exactly.
At the same time, I have so many questions.
No, I think it could be huge. And that's coming back now, 26 years later. I feel like there's just still not a lot of visibility for this industry.
Mhm.
And I wish there was more because obviously we all love it so much and are so passionate about it. But a lot of people don't know what saddle seat is. They've never heard of a saddlebred. I have to tell most people that I write English, and
Mhm.
they're like, oh, okay. But it still takes a lot of explaining of what they are. And
Right.
I was reading, I don't tell you this yet, but as I'm trying to relearn everything that I used to know, I bought a book that used to be in my bedroom as a kid, the Helen Crabtree Saddle Seat Invitation book. And I literally read it from cover to cover one Sunday, and it was fascinating. I never read it as a kid because I'm like, I already knew all that stuff, right? I thought I did.
I know it.
But I'm literally like glued to each page, and not just because I'm trying to ride like an amputation rider, but to remember why you do certain
Mhm.
things and like how important different, your legs are and your hands and your signals and all that. But in reading her book, she's got some, pictures and flashbacks, and there are classes back then that she was referencing where there were like 55 horses in the class.
Mhm.
I mean, this is like in the 70s and 80s, and I think. Are there any classes that are that big these days?
Not that big.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I need to
You
get
get like
horses.
right now, there are classes that have to be split. I mean, I guess at Louisville, there's like that many entries because they have to have several splits.
Yeah.
But as far as like any regular horse show, you're not going to find a class that size.
And it seems like, and I don't know the numbers, so this is just me off the cuff. I don't know if the numbers have gone down
Drastically.
have they? Yeah.
Drastically.
Why do you think that? Is that because people just trainers aging out, riders aging out, or?
I think there's enough trainers to accommodate everyone because there's a bunch of young professionals that want to do this, and there's really just not enough horses and people that want to do this. And I think breeders are getting discouraged because people aren't buying the horses, and the ones that are selling, great. But I think we need more people to breed, even if it's just like one horse.
Yeah.
Like that's one more horse.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I wish that we could have a better structure for
Right.
judging,
Yeah.
but we don't.
Yeah.
So but like I don't have kids that like get beat, get their feelings hurt. Like I just pretty much tell everyone, have fun because this is too expensive to not have fun.
Oh,
We might get screwed.
Yeah.
We might win everything, but have fun no matter what.
Yeah. And you're right, because I think as a kid, that is really hard to understand. And I think there were several classes I remember like that, we had a great ride, and you don't know as a rider what's going on with everybody else in the ring. That's the one hard part. And I think the judges see things that even people on the rail don't necessarily see. So I know being a judge is a hard job to have, but it is difficult. And for me coming back into this, even explaining that to my husband, he's like, "This doesn't make sense." He's a classic car guy, and he's like, when you enter a classic car into a competition, it's based on like how much that car is actually worth. But you wouldn't have like an entry level car, and I don't know enough about cars, but I'm saying right terminology, but like you wouldn't have that discrepancy to be able to compete against each other, because it wouldn't be fair. But I do think, obviously the shows, there are requirements for each different division of what they're supposed to be looking for, but some way to have more of a metrics to it. I think it would be good for the sport.
It would be amazing. And I think that it would also help open up our sport to the outside world. But again, I don't even have my judging sport. That's another reason why I tell everyone to have fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we could actually do about making it a different system.
Yeah.
So it's like something that I think everyone would kind of agree on, but we don't know how to change it.
Yeah. Well, maybe Snoop Dogg knows. Maybe he'll come and he'll just have a whole new take on how we can do this. I'm not sure. Overall, I think it's an awareness, and it's a visibility issue to a certain extent. And the more eyeballs that you can get, and the more ways for younger kids or returning amateurs or new amateurs to get into this in an affordable way, I think also makes it more realistic of how the sport can grow. But we are fingers crossed that this works out, and definitely have people reach out to you if they're interested in supporting. It's not cheap, but it's on the table and it's possible, and I think it would be huge.
I just think we would have to do something drastic. That's I was talking to Lark Henry, who she's on the board for a ballot, and she was like, "Oh my God." I told her how much it was going to cost. She was like, "Oh my God." And I was like, "We can do this.
Yeah,
we can do this."
Yeah.
So we need a lot of money.
But it'll be worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sitting down with me today. I definitely wanted to make sure that we did this interview early on, and I'm going to interview many more times, I'm sure, in this journey. And thank you for everything that you've done for us and for Chapstick so far. And we're super excited. This is like, we found our home, we found the horse, like we found you, and like it's been great. So we're very grateful.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It's amazing to find people, or have people find me that are literally such a good fit.
Yeah.
Here. Like it's just like, okay, this is meant to be.
Yeah.
This is going to be good.
Yeah. No, alignment is key in anything. And I think it's so important in choosing all the things we've had to choose in this process.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. And if you're enjoying the show, please go ahead and subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts. And we'll be bringing more episodes and interviews and updates along the way. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.